All right, today we're going to go through the animation features within Rhino. So you all know how much I like to make videos and animations, so I thought I would bring you through that process. The first thing to know here is that the animation tools within Rhino are not perfect, and there's a lot of other tools. I made another video on that. But for the purposes of this video, I want to just show how we can do this and then some really easy workarounds towards the end of the video, as well as some really helpful tips and tricks in terms of post-processing, which in my opinion is really the most important part and aspect of this. So the first thing that we're going to need to do is come to the render tools here. You'll see that we have our four main tools that we need. Come to the window here and we'll go to activate tool panels, and you can activate animation, animation preview, and animation setup. All right, so we'll go through each one of these and how they work. You think it's intuitive at first, but there are some nuances that are important to work through. We're going to make a curve. So we'll go polyline, hit polyline, we'll have a straight line. Now you'll notice we can hover over these options, and we have a couple options for these animations. The first one we're going to do is we're going to set up a fly-through animation. So for this, we've already created our curve. We select that curve, and we're just going to do 50. And what's important here is you'll see a render full, a render perspective, and a wireframe. Now, with how Rhino does these renders, they're basically just making a bunch of images. So it's not the best process. And so this would be very time consuming if we were to do a render full. If you have a lot of time, sure, go ahead and do that if you have a couple hours. But if you don't, what we can do is just do a shaded view, and then in the post-processing start to add some effects to make up for some of those things. Or at that point, you might want to explore other tools like Lumion or V-Ray or other platforms, because it's just going to be too time consuming to do this as a full-on render. We'll go through a workaround on how you can kind of get that render quality, or at least close. So we'll hit OK here, and then we'll just do a preview to take a look. You'll notice sometimes that it won't be going in the right direction, so you can always hit flip. And then when I go to the preview here, it should go in the opposite direction. I'm not sure what happened. Then we come to the record here. We can specify the target. So that's the first thing that we need to do. Create a new folder, and we'll click open, specify the number of passes, and then we'll hit enter. And that will process the rendering. Before we jump into the post-processing, I'd like to highlight that there's also a couple more options here. So the other option is to, we would still create a polyline, but here we're going to create a point, and we're just going to put that point, somewhere over here. And then we can do the set path animation. So first we select the curve, and then we select the point, and then we specify, how fast this is going to be. Let's do 100, so it's a bit slower. Again, we're in shaded view here, and we'll hit OK. And now you'll notice that wherever I put that point is where the camera is targeting. So this can be helpful, especially let's say if we wanted to do like a pan, and we wanted to set the point, let's say to here. Now, I wish that it would remember, I wish it was smart enough to update, but it's not. So I still have to go hit this path and then hit the target and then press OK and then hit there. And then it's going to rotate like that. One last thing before we go into post-processing, this is the little tip, trick, or hack that you can do. Since we don't have the rendering mode, what you can do here is you can just do a screen record. And in order to do that, as I'm pressing play, I can come here and hit render view. And now I can hit play, and now you're going to see this in rendering mode. And you can always go and screen record this and just use that as your video. And especially when you do this, like let's go to this view here, and we're going to do one more time. Now you can really start to increase the time. So we can even do 1,000. And let's do capture method, and we can come here to full screen, hit record, and then I could even come to, you know, some people like Arctic mode, can come to Arctic mode, or if you don't like that, you can come to, let's just do a rendered mode, and you could just screen record this. What's also cool is you can also just adjust the sun as well. So you could come through here, adjust the sun, and again, you could just be screen recording something and then export that. All right, the other workaround is using snapshots. So I'll type snapshots, and that will bring up this menu here, and I can hit the plus sign. And then we can specify what we want to include in that snapshot. So for this, we'll just check everything. So this is going to even include materials. That's what it's going to save. Hit apply. I'm then going to move an item to the middle. Hit apply. And then I'm going to adjust the color. You can start to fine tune some of the settings in this settings animation, and this will change various aspects. So you can just play around with this depending on what type of effect you're trying to go for. For now, keep it basic, press play. We'll go to full screen and we'll just play this, see what it comes. So nice moves, and then it's going to change color. So pretty cool, and a really good way if you're doing diagrams or motion, this is how you can incorporate it. In order to export, we're going to first do Photoshop, but then we're going to do Premiere Pro. So for Photoshop, this can look pretty easy. So what we can do is go File, Open. We'll locate our animation, and we'll just make sure to hit Image Sequence. That's the important aspect. That's going to automatically process all the images afterwards. So we'll hit Open. We can specify the frames per second. Now you can see when I hit play, it's going to move forward through the frame. So that would create our video. And what's cool about this is at this point, you can start to add different effects and gradients. So at this point, you know, you could create a blue, any type of effect, and then you can apply that. Make sure that's above the video group. And then you can just come here, and then just whatever mode that you think looks really cool, just toggle through that. And in this way, you can just keep adding different elements to this view. You can add texture. Okay, then the second thing that you can do is if I come here, I can go, let's do just a new sequence, make this really simple. And at this point, what I can do is once I've located my file, I can just select all those animations, and I can just drag and drop those. In this case, I did a wireframe. I come here and I nest them. So we're going to go nest. And then what I can do is I can come and do a speed duration, and we'll just bump this up to like 5,000. And then at this point, you can just change the speed and do anything that you like. And again, you can, with this technique, you can also come in here and just start adding different textures and different things that you want. So for instance, let's just find some random texture. I can select it. I can come up to Effects Controls, make this scale a lot bigger. Let's do something like that. And then again, I can do some kind of different types of overlays on that I can do. Okay, so I hope you found that helpful. I think I'm gonna do a couple more videos on the video animation process, especially in post-processing, go in a little bit more detail. So please let me know if you have any questions or things that you would like to see in particular down in the comments. Cool, I'll see you later.